I waited 40 years for this moment. My own home, my own key. So I invited my family to celebrate. We laughed. We sat at the same table. Then I switched plates with my sister, in-law. And within minutes, my body told me something was wrong. What I didn't know yet was that this dinner wasn't a celebration. At the housewarming party, I exchanged plates with my sister-in-law. A few minutes later, the doors opened and everyone rushed out. But what they had planned until that night would completely change my life. My name is Rebecca Walsh. I'm 40 years old. I've spent most of my life standing by my siblings, helping them, making sacrifices for them, especially after my parents died young. I never got married, never built a life for myself. But finally, after 30 years of hard work, I bought my own house. Tonight was going to be a celebration. I was going to host my family, laugh, eat, and finally feel like my life was returning to normal. The room was noisy. Music was playing, people were talking, glasses clinked. My brother Marcus came over to me with a plate in his hand. His smile was very wide, very artificial looking. "Sister, you have to open this. We made this especially for you," he said. He held a slice of cake up to me, watching my every move. His eyes followed my reaching for the fork, as if he had an expectation. Something was wrong. I could feel it. Marcus's smile didn't reach his eyes. The way he leaned forward, his waiting posture, I'd seen that look before, but it had never been so sharp. Under the pretext of adjusting the hem of my dress, I bent down slightly and, with a single smooth movement, swapped my plate with the one I was sharing with my brother-in-law sitting next to me. Nobody saw, not Marcus, not the others. My brother-in-law looked at me blankly for perhaps a second, but said nothing. I took a small piece from my new plate. Just regular cake, no difference at all. A few minutes passed. My brother-in-law took a forkful from the plate I had shared with him. Then nothing happened. But my brother-in-law's hand began to tremble. He was scraping the fork against the plate, having difficulty controlling it. Then his face turned deathly pale. His blue eyes widened. He pressed his hand to his stomach and began to writhe in pain. He was screaming in muffled voices. There was a silence in the living room. Everyone quickly gathered around him. "What's wrong? Are you all right?" They began to ask. Marcus froze, staring blankly. His wife, Heather, clung to his arm, shouting, Honey, what's wrong?" My brother-in-law couldn't answer. Only cracking, incomprehensible sounds came out. Within minutes, Marcus quickly led our family to the door. He said my brother-in-law had eaten spoiled food. He said they needed to go home. He packed up as soon as the party was over. Everyone left, whispering anxiously. I stood in the doorway, watching the cars drive away, holding a plate in my hand. When I was home alone, I went straight to the kitchen. I put the plates down and started rinsing them under hot water. It was a routine thing, an excuse to keep my hands busy. But in the back of my mind, I wondered what might have happened to the slice of food Marcus had taken from my plate. My brother-in-law's reaction was clear. Quick, uncontrolled, terrifying. It wasn't a fainting spell, nor was it a violent vomiting episode, but she had suffered enough. She had seen enough people. Enough scandal had ensued. In the early evening, in the middle of the paw print, I stood alone in the kitchen, staring out the window into the darkness, thinking about the events of the past few months. Marcus had asked me strange questions about my doctor. Not ordinary conversations. Very specific. "Do you go for regular checkups? Did your doctor say anything about your blood pressure or stress?" I just answered. He was my brother. I thought he was worried. Then there was a spring afternoon. Marcus came alone, sat at my table in the kitchen, looked around the empty rooms and quietly said, "Do you live alone a lot, sister? If life gets busy, if I need to support you, with finances, paperwork, anything, I'm here. Don't worry." His voice was so sweet, so protective. At the time, I saw it as the responsibility of being the president's brother. But now, after tonight, the meaning of those words has changed. If I need to support you. That phrase has stuck with me. I went to my filing cabinet. It had been standing on the wall for 25 years. I opened the bottom drawer and started rummaging through the papers. I told myself I was just checking the house documents, doing something normal to calm my nerves. The deed, the mortgage document, my own handwritten signatures, then a folder with a folded corner labeled Marcus POA. I took it out. The document was dated 3 years ago, a valid power of attorney. I remembered the day he brought it. He said the bank recommended that everyone keep one. He said there was a risk of it collapsing due to work stress. And I, after an exhausting week, had completely trusted him. I signed where the sticky note indicated. I hadn't read the small print. I just read it. The language was very precise, very ruthless. If a doctor declared that I was incapable of managing my affairs, medical or financial, Marcus would instantly and completely gain control over my bank accounts, investments, property, medical decisions, and where I lived. There was no time limit. It would become active with a single doctor's report. No court approval was needed. No second opinion was required. My chest tightened. It wasn't panic, it was awareness. I placed the file on the table and sat down. The house was silent, except for the faint ticking of the clock. I wondered what Marcus was thinking about my plate, what my brother-in-law was thinking about what was on it, why Marcus was moving so quickly, why he hadn't let anyone in. I got up and walked to the window. The street was empty. I was going to call lawyer William Pierce tomorrow. I wanted real answers, not guesses. The next morning, as the sun streamed through my new bedroom windows, I picked up the phone. William Pierce was the lawyer who had handled the title deed since I bought the house. Professional, careful, never in a hurry. I kept my voice calm as he answered. William, I'm Rebecca. Walsh, I need to see you today. I found something in my files last night. Come at 10:30. I'll make time for you, he said. I arrived early. The office smelled faintly of coffee and fresh paper. William greeted me at the door. His silver hair was neatly combed, and his glasses sat perched on his nose. He led me to the conference room and closed the door. I placed the manila file on the table. This is a power of attorney. Marcus had me sign it 3 years ago, citing work stress as the reason. William opened the file and read the pages slowly. His expression remained unchanged, but I noticed a slight tension around his eyes. He adjusted his glasses twice. This is a valid general power of attorney, he finally said. This means you give Marcus immediate, complete control over your finances, your property, your medical decisions, and where you live if a doctor finds you incapacitated. There are no guarantees, no court approval, no second opinion. It becomes active with a single doctor's report. It seemed like the air had cleared. William nodded. Many people sign these documents thinking exactly that, but unfortunately it doesn't provide protection. It provides control. If someone wanted to use it against you, they certainly could. I looked at my signature on the last page. My own handwriting. A little hasty, a little slanted. Let's cancel today, I said. William never questioned it. Why are you worried now about managing your own life? No, I said. I drove here. I settled my accounts yesterday. I bought this house myself. I'm 40 years old. I've been managing my own finances since I was 20. William smiled. Then let's cancel it today. Initially, no one realized the seriousness of the situation. What was happening was perceived as part of the daily routine. This perception provided a sense of complacency. This complacency reduced attention. There was no need to look at the details. As time went on, some inconsistencies emerged. These inconsistencies were initially disregarded, but they began to recur. Repetition brought with it questions. These questions did not find clear answers. Uncertainty grew. Uncertainty affected decisions. Incorrect assumptions were made. These assumptions misdirected the process, and the results developed differently than expected. For the next 40 minutes, we examined every line. William read the text aloud. He gave me a chance to read. He paused at my questions. My hand trembled when I signed the cancellation form. The sun was high when I left the office. I felt lighter, but there was a cold reality in my chest. Marcus hadn't just offered help. He had prepared himself so that one day he could claim I was inadequate. He had set up a system to take everything I owned. In the car, I rolled down the windows and slowly drove towards home to clear my head. From the outside, the house looked the same. A solid, quiet, safe house. But inside, everything had changed. I went to the bank. Following Scott's suggestion, I needed to see exactly what Marcus was up to. The lobby was quiet. Linda Chen was sitting at a table in the back. He was the bank clerk who helped me open the accounts after I bought the house. He looked up when I approached. Ms. Walsh, it's good to see you. I sat down and placed the cancellation document, and a copy of the old power of attorney on the table. I need a full review of all my account transactions for the past 3 years and the cancellation of all authorizations under this power of attorney. Linda's expression changed from polite to focused. She turned on the system, typed quickly, and paused. 3 years ago, Marcus, I see a continuously valid power of attorney issued in Mitchell's name. It's still active in our system. That document was canceled today, I said. Here's the cancellation document, signed by my lawyer. Linda took the documents, read them, and nodded. Understood. I'll update the system immediately, but first, you need to check the history of transactions made under this authorization. He looked at the screen. Marcus' regular monthly automatic transfers are made to an external account opened in Mitchell's name, under the heading Family Support. This averages several $1,000s each month. My jaw tightened. There are also one-time cash withdrawal transactions, emergency cash advances, furniture store fees, credit card payments, debt consolidation transfers. All are authorized under a power of attorney. I felt a burning sensation slowly rising in my chest. I didn't acknowledge any of it. I didn't even know it existed. Without hesitation, I said quietly. Marcus, cancel all authorizations associated with Mitchell. End automatic transfers. No changes can be made via phone or internet. Only in person with identification. Linda canceled all transactions. Mark the account for security verification and printed out all bank statements for the next 3 years. Thousands of dollars. Money I earned through long working hours and careful saving. Over years, money I lent my brother thinking he needed it. Car repairs, down payments, short-term loans. He always promised to pay it back. But it never came. When I left the bank, I was blinded by greed for money. Donna, my little sister, came to the door 2 days later. She looked bewildered. She had her coat on, her hands in her pockets. Without saying hello, she walked in. She walked from one end of the living room to the other and stopped in front of the window. "Sister," she finally said. "Last weekend I went to see Marcus and Heather. I didn't want to go, but I needed to be sure. I wanted to know if I was just imagining things." He handed me the phone. The screen was locked. "I brought something," she said. "I didn't want to record this, but I overheard them talking in the kitchen. I couldn't leave before they did." He unlocked it. He handed me the phone to play the video. "Watch it when you're ready." "But I'm sorry, sister. I have to show you this." I pressed the play button. The video started shaky. Donna had secured the phone to a vase in the hallway. The kitchen door was ajar, letting in light. Marcus was leaning against the counter, his back to the camera, his sleeves rolled up. Heather spoke in a low voice, her arms crossed. "Marcus, you changed the plates." Heather took the dose. "She got sick quickly, right there at the party." Marcus replied, "I thought about it again. Maybe we're wrong." He changed his name. He locked his accounts. He hired a lawyer. "But yesterday it was orphaned," Heather said. "If only it could all be over with a single doctor's report." Marcus turned around. "I know, but now he's starting to question things. If Child Protective Services come, they'll see that he's fine. We need a different approach. Slower. We need to control the property. Guardianship step by step." "Does she hate Donna?" said Heather. "No, but Donna depends on you. Maybe we can use her. Let's convince her to sign a new document. More carefully. But as long as we don't stop." The sound stopped. The video. I put the phone down on the table. My hands were shaking. Donna was watching me. "Sister, I don't know what to say. I should never forgive them for doing this." My throat tightened. "Why did you record it?" "Because I'd been watching them for months," Donna said. "After the party, when Heather got sick so quickly, I started to notice things. Marcus was asking about your doctor. Heather was talking as if the house already belonged to them. I told myself I was being paranoid, but I knew. Something was wrong." I sat quietly. "Do you remember your childhood?" Donna asked, her voice trembling. "You worked 2 jobs to pay for your college education. You gave me your bedroom. You slept on the sofa. You didn't ask for anything. You only wanted me to have a better life." Her eyes filled with tears. "Marcus is different. He's always worked to make you think he owes you something for growing up and becoming successful. But I don't think that way. I see how you sacrifice your youth. I can't watch. I can't." She extended her hand. "I admire you, sister. I stood by you because it's the right thing to do." I held her hand. I held it tightly. "I'm going to send this video to Scott," I said. "He'll have to protect you too." Everything seemed to be proceeding smoothly. This appearance was reassuring. But appearances didn't reflect reality. There was another dynamic at play beneath the surface. This dynamic was silent. Because it was silent, it went unnoticed. Over time, it began to make its presence felt. Small disruptions occurred. These disruptions were thought to be temporary. But it became clear that they weren't. The problems became interconnected. This connection changed the picture. The old explanations were no longer sufficient. New assessments had to be made, and the process reached an irreversible point. Scott called me to his office 2 days after receiving the video. He was sitting at his desk, his tablet open, his headphones beside him. His face was serious but not expressionless. It was the look of someone who had seen this before. "Rebecca, this evidence is crucial," he said. "The financial abuse was planned. They're trying to simulate cognitive decline. You're lucky you revoked the power of attorney." The next hours were spent in legal negotiations and paperwork. Finally, Scott looked up. "We'll make this clear. Don't worry at all." But there was anxiety. A deep, silent anxiety within me. Marcus was my brother. I had raised him. I had loved him. And he wanted to destroy me. Vicky Chen, a Child Protective Services officer, knocked on my door one Tuesday afternoon. He was professional, impartial, and carrying files. "We received a report regarding your health," he said. "Could I do a quick checkup?" I knew it would be tonight. But still, my heart was beating fast. I made tea in the kitchen. Vicky sat down and asked questions. How am I spending my day? Am I paying the bills? How is my health? Do I drive? I answered every question completely. I didn't hesitate at all, because I could tell the truth about everything. Vicky made a note. 20 minutes later, she leaned back slightly. "Everything you described aligns perfectly with someone who is completely independent and competent." But the report was detailed. Financial vulnerability, potential cognitive decline. I was prepared for the correct answer. I picked up the folder from the counter. "These are conclusive proofs." He opened the folder. Power of attorney cancellation, bank transactions, USB flash drive, conversation, Marcus and Heather Mitchell. Vicky plugged the USB into her tablet. She watched the video silently. I saw her eyebrows raise slightly in the middle. When the video ended, she took off her headphones. This is not only financial abuse, but also an attempt to undermine cognitive control. The reporting, done immediately after the power of attorney was revoked, is a sign of retaliation. Vicky closed the case. I will close the case on grounds of misconduct. I will document the abuse concerns and forward them to the investigative unit. If you see any further attempts at contact, please call me. He gave me his card. After Vicky left, I went back home and sat down. I bought flowers. I went out into the garden. I just started living. It took a long time to respond to Marcus, but the calls started coming. "Sister, why aren't you answering? I'm getting worried." Messages. "This is ridiculous. We're family. Can't we sort this out?" Then Heather made a scathing statement. "What did you say to Donna? Why are you provoking her?" I didn't answer at all. Sometimes silence is the most powerful answer. 9 days later, Marcus and Heather appeared at the door, with blank eyes. They entered through the garden gate. The doorbell rang. Sharp, impatient. I opened it. I stood in the doorway. I didn't back away. Marcus began in a very soft voice. "Hey, sister, we've been around here. We were thinking—" "Stop," I said. "I've revoked the power of attorney. I've canceled all transfers in the accounts. I have proof of what you were planning." Heather's face changed like a flash of lightning. Her eyes narrowed. Her lips formed a thin line. "Proof, you're making it up." Marcus stepped forward. "Listen, dear sister, you're misunderstanding. We were just worried about you." "The video," I said. I heard every word. The doses, the parties, the child protection service, the guardianship plan. Heather started shouting. "This is ridiculous. We're your family. You always acted like you were better than us. The perfect older sister figure. And now you can just erase that?" Marcus's jaw tightened. His body tensed. His voice dropped. "Don't say that. We'll fight. We'll tell everyone you've lost your mind. You're paranoid. No one trusts a lonely woman more than her brother. You'll regret it." Heather moved even closer. "Don't you realize what you've started? You'll see how ungrateful everyone is. They'll understand how much we cared for you, and how you rejected us." I didn't blink, staring directly into their eyes. Their anger was almost entirely physical, but I felt nothing anymore. Just clarity, sharpness, coldness. "Don't come here again." Heather opened her mouth to say something else, but Marcus grabbed her arm and pulled her back. "Let's go," he murmured. They turned around. They walked on. Heather glanced back once, her eyes burning with anger and almost fear. Marcus didn't look back at all. His shoulders were rigid, his steps heavy. I closed the door. The lock clicked. Silence. I listened to their car start. I listened to it drive away down the street. My heart was pounding, but my breathing was regular. No tears, no trembling, just silent certainty. After things moved so quickly, the waiting began. Court summonses, lawyer letters, Marcus's divorce papers. Heather had left him. 6 months later, I secured full protection for my accounts through a court order. I established a new power of attorney, but this time I put Donna in charge. I told her that if anything were to happen to me, she would own the house and all my assets. Donna, at dinner, she put down her fork. She stared at it for a long time. "Sister, I don't need anything," she said in a soft voice. "I know, but this house holds all the memories of you. Sending me to preschool, when I was little, working nights, reading stories, giving everything you had. I want it to stay in the hands of someone who truly appreciates it." Donna blinked her eyes. "I promise I'll keep it safe." The following days were filled with judge hearings, presentations of evidence. They played the video. Scott showed Marcus's account statements. Vicky presented her report. The judge looked at Marcus with a neutral expression. "Financial abuse is clear. The groundwork is an attempt at cognitive control. I deny the guardianship claims. I am closing the case. Marcus was ordered to ensure Donna's safety and pay off his debts to me. But there's no money. Heather left him. The house is foreclosed. The legal costs were just a facade. Credit card debt had skyrocketed. 3 months later, Marcus's apartment didn't even have storage space. Just a rented room, windowless, narrow, lonely, no visitors. No messages from me. No word from Donna. But I lived through it. I enrolled in a watercolor painting course on Thursday evenings. My instructor was patient. The other students were kind. I painted my old oak tree. On the canvas, its branches looked stronger, more graceful. I increased my hours at the library. On Saturday mornings, I read picture books to the children. On Friday evenings, I organized art activities. Nobody knew I was the fast-paced old lady. I was simply known as Susan, the woman who brought extra cookies to share. Donna came every weekend. She brought flowers. She helped prune the garden. She talked about her new graphic design job. Successful, independent, ungrateful success. One night, sitting on the veranda drinking tea, I watched the sunset paint itself in shades of pink and gold. I thought about the trip, the party, the swapped plates, the video, the court, Marcus. Kevin raised me, but he's still Marcus. I loved him. I might still love him 20 years later. But what I gave him as love, he took as ambition. He wanted control. He wanted power. He wanted to see me weak. His greed ruined him. But it couldn't destroy me. Because I saw it early. Because we set boundaries. Because I documented it. Because I got a lawyer. Because I made friends. The sky turned blue. Stars appeared. Lights came on in the windows of the houses. This was my home, my refuge. The life I built, protected, and owned. Rebecca Walsh, 40 years old. Alone. But I'm never alone. Because the people I chose are with me. Donna, Scott, Vicky, my teacher, my friends at the library. Real family. Not blood, choice. To sacrifice. You can give your family everything, but that doesn't give them the right to take your life. Borders are not betrayal. They are freedom. Greed destroys the greedy. Marcus's unrestrained ambition cost him everything. Heather, money, home, honor. He even lost his brotherhood. Because he couldn't control it. Because he couldn't stop it. But I stopped it. I protected myself. I got my life back. I sat on the veranda and listened to the evening. The sound of frogs and insects, the rustling of trees, the gentle breeze. The house had become even warmer with the visible changes in liquid colors on the walls, new curtains and flower vases. Inside, I made tea in the kitchen. I read a book in the bedroom. Most days seem normal, but I know every morning, every breath is a victory, a way of reclaiming my life, a way of making room for true love. Donna arrived this weekend. I took the flowers she brought out of the vase, yellow, red, orange, a beautiful color combination. "Sister, you look great," said Donna. "I feel good too." We sat in the garden. We drank tea. We talked about the plants growing in my garden, the flowers blooming. We talked about hope. We talked about the spirit. The final news about Marcus came in an email I received from Scott's secretary. The house sale was complete. The money had been transferred to Donna's account as per the court order. The debt was settled. The case was closed. I read it. I closed the file. Did I feel anything? Sadness? Forgiveness? No, just the closing. The sentence is complete, God willing. If Marcus ever reads this, know this. I loved you. I loved you as much as I could. But I never imagined you would try to control me. I even asked if I could do anything for you. But you always wanted more. You always wanted faster. You always wanted selfishly. But this isn't my fault. This is yours. Do I forgive? Maybe, in time. But do I trust? No, never. Because once trust is broken, it's very difficult to repair. Summer is over. Autumn has arrived. The trees have changed color. Yellow, orange, red. The leaves have fallen to the ground. I cleaned the garden. I pruned the bushes. I prepared for winter. Donna's help. A story about autumn to the children. It's about change. About returning to the source. Sometimes trees shed their leaves because they know they need to be renewed. The children listened. Nobody was asleep. They could sense what was happening inside. When the course was over, I looked at my pictures. Trees, gardens, houses. Each one made me feel safe, healthy, alive. And each one is a piece of myself. My instructor said, "Rebecca, you've worked very well this season." "Thank you," I said. This was the first time I'd painted for myself. For the rest of my life, I've worked for others. Winter came. Snow fell. The garden turned white like a map. The trees were covered in white branches and twigs. It was beautiful. Scott called me. "Rebecca, I have some bad news." My heart raced. I wondered what could possibly be the bad news. Marcus's bank accounts have been seized. He has a lot of debt. He's undergoing cognitive therapy. He also has a court hearing. I'd like to consult with him. I listened, but I didn't feel anything. She's living the consequences of her choices. I'm just living my life. Scott, let him do it, I think. Regardless of how much pain he feels, he needs to find his own way. I thought Marcus looked in the mirror every day and saw the consequences of his own choices. He lost Heather. He lost money. He lost a brother. He lost his marriage. He lost everything because he wanted to control it. New Year's with Donna. We lit candles on the table. We sang songs. We drank Coca-Cola. We looked to the future. "Sister," said Donna, "I want to ask you a question." "Sir, have you ever regretted it? Regretted letting them out?" I thought about it. The real answer: no, never. I stayed with you because I did the right thing. I left Marcus because I needed to. Donna nodded. Good, because I never regretted it. You are my real family. Initially, everyone shared the same information. This information created common ground. However, over time, new details emerged. These details were initially whispers. It took time for them to become clear. As they became clearer, the balance shifted. Some expectations were dashed. Some decisions became meaningless. This situation gave rise to a search for a new direction. But the options were limited. Each option involved a cost. These costs were carefully weighed. A definitive choice could not be made. The indecision prolonged the process, and uncertainty became permanent. In the first week of January, a new project began at the library, a children's art exhibition. We were going to show the paintings they had spent several months creating, colorful, vibrant, and full of emotion. One of them was made by a girl. Its title was Safe Home. On the canvas, a brightly colored house was visible. Light streamed from the windows. The door was red. There were flowers in the garden. I knew the child, 8 years old, calm, quiet. There were some problems at home. I could tell from his drawings. But in this picture there was shelter, a place he liked. When we included my paintings in the exhibition, mine stood next to hers. Tree and house, garden and light. The librarian called me over. "Rebecca, do you know who painted these pictures?" "I know," I said. "They're all telling stories." "Yes, and the most beautiful part of yours is the light. There is light in every picture. Light means hope." I nodded. Yes, light means hope. At the end of January, Scott called me. This time he had different news. "Rebecca," Marcus resigned from his job. He's leaving town. To where? "I don't know." The letter simply stated, "Financial difficulties. Family situation, need to start over." He informed the court. "If you want to set up a hospitality fund, he can pay." I listened, but I didn't answer. I took no action to follow Marcus, help him or forgive him, because she was no longer my responsibility. She was living proof of her own decisions. Whether successful or unsuccessful, she would walk her own path. Scott understandingly closed the case. When February arrived, Donna brought me some exciting news. She'd received a new job offer. Better pay, a better position, in another city. "Are you going?" I asked. "I only considered it for a year," Donna said. "To gain experience. Then I'll come back." I was happy for her, but I was a little sad for her. A year away. No weekends, no flowers, no garden pruning. But this isn't for me. This is for her, and I'm no longer controlling someone else's life. I'm making my choices, and I respectfully keep my word regarding her choices. Go, I said. Be successful. Prove yourself. I'll be here when you come back. Donna's eyes welled up with tears, but she held me close. We stayed like that for a long time. In March, the garden began to come alive. I gathered the flower seeds, dug them out of the soil, and planted them with tenderness. I prayed for each seed. Just as I wanted the garden to grow and flourish, so too should this house. At the library, I read a spring story to the children about the sun coming after the storms, a return to the source, revitalization. The child drew a picture. In order, the colors of spring. Flowers in the garden. A girl is standing in the garden, harmonizing. Who is this? I asked. That's my sister's mood, she said. When she's not happy, she goes out into the garden. I nodded. Yes, gardens mean healing. In April, exactly 9 months later, the court officially closed Marcus's case. There were no additional lawsuits. There were no appeals. The decisions were final. Scott sent me documents, signatures, dates, details. While I was organizing my legal documents at the library, Donna called. A video call. Sister, the job is great. The house is great. But I miss you. I missed you too. But you look good. You look happy. I'm happy. But I need to tell you a few things. I listened. I saw that Marcus deleted his social media accounts. There's no news from Heather. But the father of one of my friends saw her. On the outskirts of town, working at a custodial court, as an assistant. Maybe he's trying to clear his name. Maybe he's just trying to make a living. I listened. But I didn't say anything. Sister, I want you to tell me something. Have you forgiven Marcus? I thought about it. That's the real answer. No, Donna. I haven't forgiven her. But more importantly, I'm not even thinking about her. I'm moving on with my life. She should be too. Donna nodded. She said she understood. May was the beginning of summer. The flowers bloomed. The garden was colorful. Yellow sunflowers, red roses, purple lilies, white daisies. Art class is over. My instructor gave me a certificate. The best student in the class. An elderly woman who had never worked before and learned art in 10 months. Rebecca, you're a wonderful artist, said my instructor. Thank you. But I'm just doing my own work. Yes, that's the essence of art. Creating your own work. Not for someone else, but from within. I hung the certificate at home. On the wall of the old house, there was a new perspective. Success, self-respect, growth. Donna returned in June, a week's holiday. On the table, as always, tea and cookies. The flowers in the garden were in full bloom. The lawn was greener. Sister, I've decided to stay behind, Donna said. I want to be here. I want to be with you. My heart was broken. But I didn't say anything. I just held her hand. Good decision. I found a new job, here, less pay, but I'm happy. Yes, it's not about money. It's about happiness. This person had finally understood that. In July, a new beginning arrived. I started teaching drawing classes for children at the library. Art lessons, every Wednesday afternoon. Small tables, colored pencils, blank canvases. The children came. An 8-year-old girl, a runaway child, 2 siblings, a starving boy, a girl with malnutrition. Children of society, children with problems. But art united them. Each week I showed them the pictures I had drawn. Trees, gardens, houses, light, shelter. Should do it too, I said. Do what your heart tells you. Not for someone else, for yourself. A child said, but I can't draw. No one can do it, not for the first time. But you can try. You might fail. But at least you'll have gotten what was inside you out. The kid started drawing. It's bad, but honest. August was a hot month. But the garden was full of flowers. Bees came. Butterflies came. Birds came. Life returned here. Donna worked in the garden, watering the flowers, mowing the lawn, pruning the trees. One evening I sat by a tree, a huge oak tree, strong, old, protective. Sister, how old is this tree? Donna asked. I don't know. Maybe 50 years old, maybe 100. But it doesn't matter. He's here. He's giving us shade. Donna nodded. Shadow means grove. Shadow means security. September, the beginning of autumn. The trees began to change color again. Yellow, orange, red. The cycle. Every year. Each cycle was a symbol of death and life. From Marcus. It was delivered by his private vehicle, sealed and certified. He had informed the court. I opened the letter. Rebecca, I resign myself to not being forgiven, but I want understanding. I want to be honest about you. I thought I had raised you. I thought I owed you, but actually you raised me. Respect, selflessness, honesty, and I turned that into greed. Heather left me. The money's gone. The job's gone. My brother slammed his door on me, and I have nothing. I own nothing. Just responsibility, just shame, just emptiness. Don't ask for forgiveness, but understand. What I did was wrong. Completely, utterly wrong. And I realized this too late, while I was in the middle of it. Well, be happy. Take care of your garden. Protect your home. Marcus? I read the letter. I read it countless times, but I felt nothing. Just words, just voices from acquaintances. Donna looked at me. Will you forgive me? I don't know. Maybe in time. But right now, I'm just living. Donna, I don't want to reserve a place for her. I just want to go my own way. I kept the letter in an envelope. Maybe I'll read it in a few years. Maybe it will turn into pages of forgiveness. Maybe it will just remain hidden. But right now, there's no pressure. No obligation. Just peace. Just silence. Just life. In October, the story I read to the children was about transformation. How a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. How conditional time leads to development. The children listened, without blinking. Did the caterpillar feel pain? Asked the 8-year-old girl. Yes, I said. He suffered a lot. But that suffering meant change. It meant transformation. Then I will suffer too, said the child. To become a butterfly. I nodded. Yes, sometimes growth means pain. But pain is worth living for. In November, I took a family law course. I didn't become a lawyer, but I gained knowledge at the library. I will know how to protect myself. I will know how to protect others. Scott was my consultant. In various situations, financial fraud. In each one, he had a little bit of my story. But in each one, there was a way out. Did you know that? Most people think there's no way out. But there is. Yes, there are. In December, Christmas was approaching. Donna and I decorated the garden. Lights, flowers, candles, red and green. At the library, I read a Christmas story to the children. The end of the old year. The beginning of the new year. Every year, a new opportunity. A new beginning. The child drew a picture. Who is this? I asked. This is me, she said. In the new year, happy, stronger, better. I nodded. Yes, it gets better every year. On New Year's morning, Donna and I sat on the veranda. Coffee, cookies, warm blankets. Sister, a year has passed, said Donna. It's over. Was it a good year? I thought about it. Yes, it's difficult, but it's good. Are you still thinking about Marcus? Sometimes, but less often. Less each day, and that's fine, because that's a sign of recovery. Donna nodded. Have you forgiven him? Really? Have I forgiven him? I don't know. But have I softened my heart? Yes, I've made my decision. I've gotten rid of him. I've taken control of my own life. Donna recorded my words. I took my own life back. January was the beginning of a new year. A year later, not an expectation, just life. I started workshops at the library. Full-time, art for children, life coaching for adults, post-traumatic growth, teaching how to save lives, based solely on my own experience. In the first class, there were 6 of us, different ages, different problems, but the same desire, to live, to be free, to be themselves. The first session, someone asked me, how do you know? How do you know how to be so confident, so good at it? I replied, because I was there too, on the other side of the door, an uncontrollable, endless fear. But I got out. And you can too. I saw hope in their eyes. Light. The garden was green again. The tree looked stronger. The flowers were more beautiful. The house was warmer. A few weeks later, another letter arrived. It was delivered through the same fountain, from Marcus. This time I opened it. I knew I wouldn't reply, but I decided to read it. Rebecca, working in guardianship court, I'm learning a lot about protecting people. Every day, good people come in, abused by their families. They've lost control, quickly, because no one protected them. No one set up a safety net. I'm grateful you built your network, because if you hadn't, I would have destroyed you, completely. Nothing would be left. But maybe now I too can save people, someone else, by talking about people's rights, by talking about guardianship abuse, by making them feel like they're not Marcus. This isn't forgiveness, but perhaps it's repair. Marcus? This time tears flowed. Silent, gentle, cleansing tears. But I didn't show it. I held the letter. I laid it down. I put it in the file. Donna asked, what is it? A letter. From Marcus. What am I writing? He promises forgiveness without expecting anything in return. He promises change. And perhaps that's enough. In March, Donna took me to speak with lawyer Scott. He had a project, a righteous life support group for adults who have been abused by their families. Rebecca, could you be our guide? Scott asked. I thought about it. Yes, but I'm just telling stories, not solutions. Just light. April mid-spring. The flowers were blooming. There were 20 people in the library, in the classroom. They were listening to stories. My story and their stories. A woman stepped forward and said, "You taught me to believe. My name, my value." A man said, "You taught me to trust." Perhaps for the first time ever, a young girl said, "You taught me to be a protector, not others. I can protect myself." Every word came from my heart. In May, my tree turned completely green. Flowers bloomed. I watched the butterflies. I watched the bees. I watched the birds. Life is here. Real, vibrant, quiet, beautiful life. Donna stood beside me. In the garden, among the flowers, at sunset. "Sister, are you happy?" she asked. Yes, I'm happy. For the first time. Yes, Donna, I'm happy. Writing means shelter. There is security in writing. There is peace in writing. My writing is trust. My writing is peace. My writing is me. Rebecca Walsh. He's 40 years old. Is he alone? Yes. But he's never truly alone. Because I have the people I chose. Because I have the people I love. Because I have my family. Family isn't about blood. It's about choice. To self-sacrifice. Love is boundless. But self-control should only be for ourselves. Marcus, yes and no. But I didn't choose to forget him. Because forgetting means repeating the same mistake. Did I get through it? Yes. Was I broken? Yes. But did I rebuild? Absolutely. This isn't a victory. This is life. Life is about mistakes and healing and choice and acceptance. I know this because I've lived it. And now, I do nothing but live. I stand in the garden. The sun is setting. The trees are providing shade. The flowers are blooming and the birds are singing. At this moment, it's perfect. That's enough for now. At this moment, I am Rebecca. At this point, it was clear that what had happened could not be explained in a single sentence. What had happened was not merely what was visible. Every detail bore the traces of what had come before. Some things were obvious. Others only gained meaning as time passed. Moments that initially seemed insignificant took on a different meaning in retrospect. It was realized that small decisions could have big impacts. Unspoken points left a stronger mark than spoken words. Not everything was resolved through discussion. Some issues were left unresolved. This wasn't giving up, but rather an acceptance of the situation. As time went on, reactions changed. Initial emotions gave way to a calmer assessment. Trying to understand what had happened didn't mean condoning it. It simply meant seeing the truth as it was, neither diminishing nor exaggerating it. Not every story ends with a clear conclusion. Some end leaving a mark. This story was one of them. It ended without a sharp ending, but it didn't remain meaningless either. What happened left a silent but lasting impact, and perhaps that was the truest ending.